Now that we're getting into the Buu saga, this is where the Ginyu Force can find their feet. Their dancing feet! Hey folks, MasakoX here. The 2020 April Fool What If comes a-knockin' once more. If you're not familiar with that particular type of story, then these versions of our typical what ifs allow us to experiment more and be completely and utterly bonkers for the sake of a good story. We don't need here to be as true to form to the original source material. If the trope fits, then we sits on this sofa here and tell you all about it. This certain story is all to do with the Ginyu Force. This band of merry spacemen caught our attention back in the Namek saga, and still to this day, many years later, they carry a very soft spot within the fandom. One of the most genuine teams in the entire show. You get a feeling that they genuinely look out for one another. So, why don't we take another dip into the world where Captain Ginyu and his crew got the chance to join the side of Goku and live out their dreams to be a team, as well as make the most of their love for dance. If Ginyu and his team got to join the team of Goku and the Earthlings, it turns out they would be rather good at what they do. Free to do what they want outside of saving the world, they were actually very active in doing stuff and made themselves out to be quite notable in the community on Earth. Given the fact that they were from another world and the fact that dinosaurs roamed the world as well as beastmen, they weren't exactly vilified at all. Well, I mean, except Guldo perhaps, but up until recently, he had been a pretty big jerk, but he's been working on that. Goku was their leader per se, having gotten them to Earth, but he never really enacted his control over them, instead just asking them to help when needed, and help they would. Thanks to them, the Ginyus were very good at crowd control, and thusly, the fate of many civilians were assured thanks to their quintet. And they even managed to get some time against Semi-Perfect Cell and do a decent job not being totally wailed on. In the last part though, the likes of Guldo had their finest hour. Thanks to him and Krillin working together in the Room of Spirit and Time, the green time-stopping guy actually did something very important for the team, taking his life in order to stop the likes of Cell and give Gohan the catalyst he needed to go Super Saiyan 2, finishing the job. I mean, at least the jerk was no longer a jerk. That's not a jerkish thing to do. At the same time, this version of Cell was not the one you would expect. Judging from the moustache over here, Jiro had managed to take control of his body thanks to him sticking around in the series for longer. It's kind of sad really. This future Cell got usurped by his creator merely for the fact that he had his own agenda. I kind of feel sorry for this Cell, but only a little. He still wanted to destroy the good guys. Once this was all said and done, we actually had another member added to the Ginyu Force. Android 16, you see, didn't die in this version. Not only are the gang surviving, but they're now a sixsome. In the time that followed the biggest battle of their lives, it was a truly insane time for our friends over on the Ginyu Force. They had never expected to see something so bizarre do so much for the cause. But most importantly, they had come of age and seen the likes of Guldo thrive in his role of now being third in command. And after Cell was decimated by Gohan, times for them became much more peaceful, just like when it was for them when they first arrived. For our 5 heroes, along with their new buddy, Android 16, the group were now finally able to kick their heels and make the most of this more relaxing setting. They were able to do some travelling together, especially taking in the sights and sounds of Earth's natural beauty. Sure, they'd seen a little bit of this before, but they really wanted this time to immerse themselves in it, find new inspiration for their future, and especially how they were now going to do choreography involving 6 people. It is also worth noting here that a very big thing doesn't occur. In this timeline, Hercule did not take credit for the Bugman's demise, and instead, the rumours of the mysterious Golden Warrior persisted for many more years. Hercule didn't feel like he could, given what the Ginyus had done for the cause. I mean, even if the likes of he, someone who was supremely pompous, could not deny the act of Guldo. I mean, also, he felt like Captain Ginyu would be very hot on him if he did. He would have ratted him out immediately had Hercule taken credit for it. It was best to be shrewd with that lot. I mean, of course, this doesn't mean that Hercule wasn't famous or anything. I mean, after all, he is the current World Martial Arts Champion. That still carries a lot of weight. Hercule also still holds a massive following as a celebrity. He's just not the world's savior, but he is still able to milk some worth for doing his bit to help defend Earth. It's just not to the fullest extent this time around. But our protagonists are slacking a little bit on that front, as they do not seek any such glory. And like we say, they do not play on Gohan's victory. As the Ginyus are traveling the world and taking a break, Goku and Vegeta are doing the opposite. They are training almost as much as they were in the build-up to the android's first attack. Both of them are taking at least a little bit of a break to spend with their respective families. I mean, come on. Chi-Chi and Bulma were not gonna let them simply lose themselves in their crafts. Because of Goku now being present in this timeline and still on Earth, this does allow Vegeta to mellow out more and find solace, and in a way, enjoy time with his best buddy. For Gohan though, over the years, he feels like he's lacking somewhat. While he is successful at school, he feels like he wants to do something more. And no, I'm not talking about conferences. This is when the Great Saiyaman is born, and he has big plans for this one. Right off the bat, when the Ginyus have returned from their very long vacation, they hear about that hero. The Great Saiyaman has been starting to make a name for himself, but the likes of Jeice is feeling a little bit torn about this tribute, recognizing certain traits of their moves and stunts. Hey, Captain, this bozo's stealing our moves. I mean, look at him. That footwork right there, that's straight up my thing. The scoundrel, he won't get away with this. This is Jeice catching a bit of the TV report, but Ginyu, he's pondering this revelation, trying to mask his inner pride for this upstart, but nevertheless, he does have a reputation to keep up. I must say though, this is rather flattering, but we cannot have some masked delinquents running around and stealing our thunder, men. We need to test this newcomer at once, to see if he is worthy of aping our repertoire. Meanwhile though, 16 has been quiet, but he wants to point something out to them, but no. The original quintet are wrapped up in their own way of thinking. And so, the Ginyu set about preparing a cunning trap for this hero, with Guldo pretending to be a damsel in distress. Guldo actually reveled in this twist. I always wanted to fulfill my dream of becoming an actor, and this is my best chance. So, with the plan in motion, the trap is set. Gohan arrives all kitted up in his Great Saiyaman outfit, as the masked Ginyus are pretending to be villains. Ginyu puts on his game face from his years of being part of Freeza's crew, and starts his overblown monologue. But before the boy can actually explain anything himself, they attack. If you're thinking though that the Ginyus are going to win this one, don't get your hopes up. Gohan is able to take them down, but it does take them some time. In the end, when Ginyu and Gohan are duking it out together in a massive clash, Gohan partially removes his helmet to reveal his face, and in a hushed tone says, "Hey, Captain, cool it! It's me! Shh, it's me!" Immediately, Ginyu backs off and looks positively stunned. By the heavens! Gohan! It's you! But those moves, we thought that someone had been stealing our stuff. Gohan's face though looked red. It's kind of embarrassing really, but you know, when I saw your thing back on Namek all those years ago, I thought to myself, hey, that's a pretty cool routine for a superhero. And it's not like much has happened lately, so here I am, the Great Saiyaman. Ginyu looked at Gohan, trying to act all cool. In a stern manner, he put a hand on his shoulder, clenching his other fist. Gohan. Captain? We could not be prouder that you decided to base your heroic persona on our routines. It is an honor and the utmost validation. Tears of joy were now streaming down Ginyu's face, and the others were starting to follow suit. I'm sorry I thought badly of you, mate, sniffed Jeice. You're always welcome in our training sessions, buddy, cried Burter out of joy. Recoome is thrilled to be involved. Thanks, says Gohan nervously. Rest assured, my friend, we will help you to improve even more, blasts out Ginyu, regaining his composure. You will? Certainly, boy. We taught 16 how to do it, so I'm sure that you will be able to do it no problem. And so, Gohan trained with the Ginyus, and in time, they joined him during these superheroic events. They then became known as the Great Saiya Force. And said Saiya Force, of course, attracted the eyes of one Videl, who was still a girl with a pretty high moral set of standards and convictions. She wasn't as rich and influential as in the original, but she and her family were still kind of well off, but she did want to help out more on the street level. She was more of the quiet heroine, cleaning things up without wanting to gain attention. She liked it that way, much more simple and authentic. And she even still managed to figure out this nerdy boy from her school, Son Gohan, might know something about the Great Saiyan Force. I mean, without realizing that he was the de facto figurehead. At least not yet. Especially since she saw him once with those weirdos, dressed in Hawaiian shirts and eating ice cream. After all, the Ginyus were less easily able to differentiate themselves from their hero guises. The moment of truth came about when, during a massive bank heist, the Saiyan Force were able to stop some mobsters, and the daughter of Hercule was present throughout. Videl witnessed it all, and decided to follow the Great Saiyaman once he had broken away from the group. It wasn't simple though, as you can imagine, as the guy was flying, but she had managed to catch him down one alleyway when he was changing into his normal clothes. Aha! Got you! Gohan panicked, trying to deny everything, but Videl, just like in the original, threatens him with blackmail. Much more overtly though than before, but Gohan was able to deal with the situation this time like a champ, much more confidently than the original timeline. Instead of acquiescing immediately, he simply took her to see the Ginyus. He knew that Videl was often risking her life trying to help others. He was very astute about this. He'd been paying attention to what was going on, and as such, he introduced his new companion to the group. My Gohan, you two make a beautiful couple. What? No, we're not. Gohan and Videl started to turn beet red. Recoome has tears of elation in his eyes, and Recoome remembers what that little kid whom he was beating on Namek. You wouldn't do that now, of course. Videl's world was expanded greatly. There was a lot to take in here. Ki, Saiyans, flying, androids, aliens, space empires. But, in a way, she actually warmed up more towards this weird new bunch of misfits. Even that little green guy was pretty neat. Thanks! My therapist says that I'm making wonderful progress! And as a result of this, she became an integral part of the group. She felt more at home here, being in the company of like-minded people, wanting to help the lesser folk. Vegeta, of course, was mocking the whole superhero thing. You're only doing this because you wish Bulma would still let you wear your armor. Shut up, Kakarot! Vegeta turned away, but smirked. Goten and Trunks, of course, wanted a piece of this action too, but their lives were much more balanced this time around between training and education, and also for the fact that their mothers were very much ensuring that they did not deviate from their education. Goku being a part of Goten's life earlier also really helped Goten to be more independent, less reliant on being around Trunks all the time for a sense of purpose. He also inherited Chi-Chi's shrewdness and was quite good at planning time for both himself and Trunks. Now, this all sounds kinda sweet, right? And I mean, especially since Videl had managed to convince everyone to come to the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, which her dad would be hosting as the defending champion. Hey, I did some research and I had no idea that some of you are really legendary fighters. Son Goku, Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Krillin, Ma Jr. You all fought in previous tournaments and did so well. Wow. It would help my father greatly if this event was big and had so many returning all-stars. He doesn't need to win though, no taking the fall or anything like that, but his self-esteem is not what it used to be. He kind of needs to regain his footing. But he still puts a lot of cash into these tournaments. He wants them to succeed, so can you help out? They agreed to this, appreciating the heartfelt story, though Vegeta could not promise Videl that he wouldn't send her father flying. Harmlessly though. So there's no peril. Everyone is happy. Well, shortly before the tournament, Recoome and Burter were running errands and were stopped by a mysterious individual. And said individual was a tall, red-skinned being in blue robes with very pointy ears and a rather fetching goatee. And of course, most of the villains they had fought on Earth since Cell were pretty pathetic. Nothing really to write home about. Just usually a lot of crime-based goons, mob organizations, maybe the occasional impersonator with a sense of delusion. So they thought this person might simply be more of the same. But Recoome, though, got pretty surprised when the weird man spat onto Burter, and this turned him into stone. This wasn't usual. No, Burter! Recoome will make you pay for that! But he too also got turned into a statue and taken to a mysterious place.
Good job, Deborah. These two will be perfect instruments in our plan.
Laughed a small potato man in the shadows. After Burter and Recoome were awakened, both had a large letter M on their foreheads. It seems that our heroes might be in trouble. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? Will Ginyu and the rest of the Saiyan Force be able to save their friends? What is the potential of Majin Burter and Majin Recoome? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!